Hello there everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and today we are jumping in right before this tournament starts because we do have the Fire Night tournament using only champions from Demonspawn. The challenge tournament starting in 11 minutes from when I'm recording this. So what we're going to do at the end of the video, after we look at the team, is we're going to actually check out the tournament and see if it's worth doing. I wanted to record this before the tournament starts because I'm really worried that this is just going to be a reskinned regular tournament and it's not going to be worth it at all. So before my hopes are dashed, we're gonna take a look here. So what are we gonna do? First of all, looking at Demonspawn, you've got some really good champions in here, but I actually think this faction is a bit feast or famine. If you want to do this fast, I think you need very specific champions. Again, there's very strong ones, but you need very specific ones. Though I do think there are options for doing it slow as well. Right, let's dive in. Let me show you my team, which is the fastest team I've been able to come up with. I have set it to unlimited frames per second because otherwise people will bully me for being too slow. Let's go in. So stage 20, and this is the team that I've been running. We don't have an aura that works, unfortunately, so we're just going to dive in. And you'll see this is how it works. It's very specific. Gorlo's Helmut actually coming in, which is super fun. He's going to basically open up with the decreased defense, and then we're going to double nuke there. If I had better gear on Magnar, we'd actually one-shot that wave, and that would open up some different stuff, like maybe bringing in a Krutraxa instead of Kandrafon. But we just reset, we go into wave 2. So the decreased defense from Gorlos, then we've got Magnar and Kandrafon both do their AoE nukes. That takes it down. We have their A1s set as openers here. You can see, for example, Kandrafon, his A1 does double hit against the shield. So that definitely helps. We get the decreased defense on, which really is what speeds it up. We have Allure here to keep the turn meter down. And she also helps take that shield down at the start as well. And then the champions just basically go through and do their thing. We disabled Kandrafon's stealth move on the waves because that just slows him down, whereas against the boss is actually quite good because it gives him the increased attack, the increased crit damage, but he also gets bonus damage from being under veil. So I think it does overall add up to make it faster. You can see he does hit that really hard, and he can have some nice things line up sometimes where he gets to do Butcher's Glee in stealth, and then Kaimar resets him and he gets a second one, and that really does smack against the boss where he doesn't double hit. And yeah, there you go. You can see it, 1 minute 10. It's very consistent, 1 minute 10 to 1 minute 13 or so. It really does go about the same. There's a little bit of luck, like if Magnar lands decreased defense on his first A1 and stuff, speeds it up slightly. Phantom Touch procs and War Master procs and whatnot. But with this team, you can see Magnar does most of the damage because he is faster. It doesn't really matter. If Kandrafon was faster, he'd steal the damage from the waves. It doesn't really matter. Kandrafon's doing good damage. Allure, surprisingly, also doing pretty good damage. And Gorlos doing 700. So there you go. 1 minute 10. This was the fastest team I could find. I did try some other variants. And they just didn't work as well. I tried stuff with Krutraxa. I tried stuff with Sissia. Sissia doesn't quite work. She does bring AoE decreased defense and weaken, but you need 2 enemies under burn to put decreased defense. So she cannot put decreased defense against the boss. And then there's a counter synergy there as well, where you can bring in, let's say, Magnar as your nuker. He can put decreased defense, single target, especially if they're under burn. That's great, but he doesn't get his double nuke if the enemy is under burn. So he doesn't work as your wave nuker with Sissia. I mean, I kind of made it work, but it wasn't really fast enough. So there's some awkward stuff going on there. I also did try Skimfos, but it's awkward to tune him in. He's got a 3-turn cooldown here where he steals all the turn meter if he crits. Problem is, if it gets resisted, you got like a 3% chance for your run to fall apart. But it mostly works. It kind of works. It's just a bit awkward. He does manage to keep the boss turn meter down basically all the time. He's got decreased speed here as well, and some deplete turn meter. So he kind of works, and he's what I would look at. If you don't have a lure, I think Skimfos is your pretty much next best bet. Gorlos is fantastic for the AoE decreased defense. If you don't have these champions, you can definitely do a slower run. It's just going to be kind of awkward. So Helicath, a lot of people might have Helicath. He can obviously let you just tank through Fire Knight counterattacks, and you can get through just slowly. And he does have a double hitter A1, and he gets to counterattack for free. So that can, when he hits block damage, so he can really help you take down that Fire Knight shield quickly. That's definitely an option. Another really good option here, guys, as well. Actually, in the rares, yeah, believe it or not, the rares. Fellhound, he can be great because of this move. Continuous heal and reflect damage on all allies for 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. This reflect damage can help take down that Fire Knight shield, and then he can nuke the waves reasonably well too. So if he's your campaign farmer, if you built him up for that, he can be really, really good here. Diabolus could be okay if you've got her built. Some people might have her built for faction wars, as a bit of a increased speed champion, bit of turn meter manipulation. She's not great, but she's okay. Door comes in as a sort of pseudo Fellhound, a more supportive one. Reflect damage for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, more healing than Fellhound, and he does bring in a revive as well. A1 stun, so he's not going to help you kill the Fire Knight more quickly, but he will help you knock down the Fire Knight shield if the Fire Knight does put the shield up and attack you. But honestly, on the whole, I found that this was pretty difficult. If you don't have an allure and a well-built allure, this could be quite tricky, to be honest. You don't have a ton of options to actually manage it, as far as I can tell. So there you go. That was the team that I was using. Let me show you their builds. It's probably not the most copyable team because it's a bunch of legendaries. But if you want to do this fast, that's what you need. So Candrafon, he is in Stone Skin and crit damage. He's coming in with these stats right here, and he has these masteries. Actually, if we do recently used first, that's the most straightforward. We can see Allure. She's coming in with Giant Slayer, and she has these stats right here. You want her really, really fast, enough accuracy and full crit rate. We've got Prince Kaimar. He is coming in with these stats and with these masteries right here. The masteries for him aren't important. You could do more PvE focused ones. These are for Arena. Magnar, he's got Helm Smasher as well, and he is coming in with these stats. And then finally, Gorlo. So I threw in some gear, especially for this, so I could definitely gear him a bit better. I sort of ran out of silver. But he is coming in about 4k attack, 209 speed. He doesn't have enough crit rate, but because he's positive affinity for stage 20, it works fine. 200% crit damage. So I'd actually like to build him to hit harder, and he would do more. And he's coming in with these masteries, so with War Master. But he's just great because AoE decreased defense, 3-turn cooldown. That's basically it. I actually turned off this move, the burn, so he can put on burn and decrease accuracy with turn meter fill on his A3. I turned that off for the boss because the damage increase from using this versus using his A1 was not as good as, because you'd lose the percussive pound damage on Magnar. So that was important to turn that off. Let me show you the presets, and then we will cut back when the tournament actually goes live. But let me know, what are your teams? I'd definitely be curious if anyone has managed to put together a budget team. And if you want to, also let me say this is important. If you cannot do stage 20, if you can't do it, it's too difficult, you can absolutely come back, and stage 16 and stage 11 are really good as well. Those are good choices too. Good efficient ones for doing the tournament that are substantially easier. Like if we jump into stage 16 and we throw the same team in, we should absolutely rip through. Gorlos won't crit all the time now, but that doesn't matter. You'll see that. Look how much squishier this wave is. It just flops over. Goodbye, Mr. Wave. We're going again. And I think the big difference is you get to the Fire Knight, he's going to have less stacks of... Oh, he's still got the same stacks of his shield, I guess, on this level. The other big tip there as well, I didn't mention, but Phantom Touch does count as extra hits against the Fire Knight shield, guys. Phantom Touch, extra hits. So on a lure, that Phantom Touch proc counts as she's got such a good chance to proc it. And if she's high awakened, you can proc it like multiple times. You can do all sorts of nonsense. So she can absolutely rip that shield apart if you've got it. And same thing for all of these champions. If you want to speed run this, we did that in 42 seconds right there with this team. So you can get away with less turn meter control. You can let him hit you, that sort of stuff on stage 16. Stage 11, if we do that really fast. So Gorlos we're going to have some weak hits, but because it's going to be so much easier, it's probably not going to matter. And you could just switch up your team, right? You might not need the decreased defense. In fact, we can see on stage 11, Allure just one shot the first wave, which is hilarious. Allure OP. We get to the boss. He still does have 10. I thought that they lowered this. I guess I'm wrong. he has 10 pips still on his shield. I guess it's what, 12 at stage 25, but you'll see that this boss just explodes, and you could really start to put in almost anyone at this point, because decreasing his turn meter hardly matters. 28 seconds, we could probably do that faster with just like crew traxa and nukers and things like that. The presets that we were using then for stage 20, it is important to set it up right. So Gorlos, he is just prioritizing his decreased defense. Then when we get to the boss, again, we turn off this, no burn, we don't want it, decreased accuracy does nothing. And we just have him open with his A1 because it's a double hitter, and then he can put decreased defense on round 2 if he has it. For Kaimar, we're going to turn off both moves on the first wave. On the second wave, we're going to let him reset our skills, but we're not going to let him do this. Then on round 3, he's going to open with Abyssal Gaze and then do what he wants. The reason we do this is that with the Evil Eye Mastery, you deplete turn meter the first time you hit an enemy with your A1. So we want that A1 to be the second move that he uses when the shield is down for a bit of extra turn meter pushback. Magnar is just going to prioritize Percussive Pound every single time. Very simple. Candrafon, we turn off his On the Hunt because he will do this as top priority. So you turn that off for the 2 waves, just have him nuke. And then for the boss, we have him open with A1, but then we let him put on his Perfect Veil and increase attack. And then finally for Allure, Temptation as our first priority here. And then we're going to turn both of these 2 moves off for the boss so that she always does the turn meter depletion. And there you go. That's the run. Simple as. Let's do it one more time for good luck, and then let's check out the thing. But yeah, I think that's basically all the tips I've seen. You can use, obviously, other nukers will work just fine. You know, there's nothing too special about these 2 nukers. Magnar brings the backup decreased defense. You can see right there, if you do get one of your debuffs resisted, that the extra turn Candrafon gets on his AoE can help you pick up the rest of the kills, but it's not really important. You can use really any nukers. Gorlos is kind of invaluable as the decreased defense. Sissia can work, but Gorlos I actually found was better. Allure, fairly essential. You could speed tune a weird. You'd have to have a very fast, I think, for stage 20, a very, very fast Skimfos who's going to get around to 2 turns before the boss. Have him open with his A1, disable his turn meter steal on the previous waves, and then turn meter steal as his first priority against the boss after you open with his A1. And yeah, again, you could sub out the Kaimar. He just makes it faster, right? Because he resets your better moves. But you could sub him out. It's going to be fine. The waves aren't that dangerous, really, once you're far enough into the game. So here we go. We did 1 minute 10 last time. Will we do the same? It really comes down to some luck, how stuff lines up. I think we're not quite going to make it. No, we're slightly slower this time. 111. 111. There we go. 1 second slower. Cool. There we go. Right. I think, has the tournament started? I think it has. Look at that. Look at that. Amazing. Pro streamer. We did. Here we go. What are the rewards like? Moment of truth. It's bugged. It doesn't want to open. Okay, so the rewards are okay. They're decent. They're not insane. You definitely don't need to do this if you don't want to. Void Shard is nice. 250 of these coins is nice. A blue shard. They're decent rewards. I think this is okay. It's not blowing my mind though. Like really, if you consider you know, the whole sort of event here that's going on where we had to vote on the factions, faction specific stuff is a big challenge. I think it's pretty underwhelming. Like they really should just go in and straight up double these rewards. And then you'd be like, okay, now it's a bit better. Like two of these purple things, 500 coins, 2 blues. That would be a little bit better. It's definitely underwhelming. Again, Plarium, come on, be a bit more generous with this. Give us something cool or something unique. This is decent. It's decent, but it could be and should be so much better. Like, I imagine that the rest of the tournaments are going to be the same. I don't see them changing it. Oh, that's interesting. Champion Chase here. This is almost definitely going to be the big shard for like the global again. That's what they did last time. We shall see. I think it's 2x voids. And yeah, we also have the arena tournament starting tomorrow. So I'll talk about that tomorrow. That's going to be quite, you know, tricky as well. It's going to, we're first place. Nice. It's going to depend on, yeah, it's going to depend on what champions, like if you've got a Kaimar, you're good. If you don't, you're not so good. But anyway, I'll be back for a short arena video tomorrow. Thanks for watching though. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you next time. Goodbye.